Alright, so nagbabalik tayo sa ating violin tips and tricks. And for today's video, let's talk about shoulder pad. Now, why you need a shoulder pad, especially if you are starting out, you're a beginner, no? And how it could help you with your violin hold, and how it could really help you out in the long run when you're starting to play your instrument. Okay? So, personally, ako hindi talaga ako gumagamit ng shoulder pad. But I see its benefits for my students, especially for those starting out na medyo natatakot na baka mabitawan nila yung instrument nila. They might accidentally let go and mahulog, di ba? May mga times na pwedeng mangyari yun, especially if you are starting out. So, ako nga personally, kaya hindi ako gumagamit ng shoulder pad, it's because this is what happens. Sobrang taas niya sa akin when I put on a shoulder pad for my instrument. So, even when I was starting, gumagamit ako nung time na bata pa talaga ako. But, I grew out of it, no? Simula nung nag-adjust na yung violin ko, nung palaki na ng palaki, hindi na ako gumagamit. But, I can really see the benefits of it, no? Especially for people who really need it. Okay, so, para kanino ba yung shoulder pad? So, again, it's for people who are having a hard time having their instrument in the proper position, no? If you can't hold your instrument properly like this, no? What do you mean by properly? Tumataas yung shoulders mo, no? And sometimes other people tend to also look down, no? Binababa naman nila yung chin. So, either of the two. If this starts happening to you when you're holding on to your instrument, maybe you need a shoulder pad. Kailangan mo kasi na ma-secure siya without sacrificing movement, no? Kasi once na tinaas mo yung shoulders mo, magte-tense up na lahat yan. Once na binaba mo naman yung head mo, magkakaroon ka rin ng tension. As you can see, nung binaba ko yung ulo ko, I can't speak properly. So, I can't really speak. So, kapag ganito, di ba, kapag hindi ko binababa yung head ko, I can properly speak. So, ibig sabihin, walang mga tension na namumuo. So, it's just very, very natural in a sense, no? So, if you are having a hard time putting it here na nahuhulog or sometimes bumabagsak na ganyan, no? And lahat na ng position na try mo, you move it up, you move it down, in the middle, on the side, no? And wala pa rin talaga, maybe you need help, no? So, you should use a shoulder pad, no? So, paano ba maglagay ng shoulder pad? The thick side of the shoulder pad should be at the side of your chin rest. So, doon mo siya ilalagay. Okay. So, ano ba yung mga benefits ng pagkakaroon ng shoulder pad? So, with this, naiiwasan din natin yung pagtama ng palms. Kasi, hindi natin kinikerry. We don't need to carry the instrument. Nandun na siya, no? Especially for those people na hindi talaga maipit, no? Iba kasi iniipit talaga nila, kaya nagkakaroon pa ng other problems. So, mas relaxed. You have more mobility with your hand, you have more mobility with your fingers kasi hindi na sila nag-grip. You don't really need that grip anymore. So, mas madali mo na siya matutugtog. So, especially for beginners nga, kasi maraming masyadong iniisip, bowing, the hands, the fingers, and the arms. Hindi mo naiisipin kung malalaglag ba yung violin or not. So, it gives you a little bit of space, no? Extra space para makapag-isip because you don't need to think about those things anymore, no? Yeah. And then, of course, with the shoulder pad, mas mapapadali mo yung pag-play, no? And also, yung pagiging stable ng instrument. So, what do I mean na mas mapapadali yung pag-play is your bow hand could move in a constant direction. Kasi sometimes, if you don't have shoulder pad, your violin will be unstable, no? Tataas, bababa, mag-iiba yung position ng bow arm as well. So, yun, magiging stable on the bow side and also stable with your fingers, so your fingers are more mobile. Yun yung mga upside ng paggamit natin ng shoulder pads. Syempre, may mga downsides yung shoulder pad. Like, I think I've discussed this in the previous video. Like, mas mapapahina yung sound ng instrument mo, ng konti lang naman. And also, mobility of your instrument. Dahil nga stable siya, naka-anchor siya dito, naka-anchor siya sa taas. So hindi siya masyadong magagalaw. You don't have that mobility. But then again, if you are starting out, if you are a beginner, hindi pa importante yung mobility na to, no? It's not that important kasi dito ka pa lang naman nagpe-play sa first position. You don't need to reach high positions in order for you to do that. And siguro, in the long run, kung nasanay ka na naka-shoulder pad, magagawan mo na ng other ways in order for you to do certain techniques, di ba? And another thing, sa vibrato, mas madali siya mapapractice din as well, no? So, yung vibrato. Plus, yun nga, when it comes to the cons pala, is, ito, na sinasabi natin na nare-restrict yung tone mo. But again, if you are starting out, if you are a beginner, that really doesn't matter as much, no? Hindi mo pa naman kaya talagang i-project fully yung instrument mo. So, hindi mo pa kailangan pigain yung last as much out of it because you don't have that certain skill yet. So, okay lang yun for me personally. So, mas mapapadali yung pag-aaral mo, mas nabibigyan ka na ng kumpiyansa sa sarili, a little bit more confidence to hold your instrument properly, to be able to play properly without the need for extra tension and maging prone ka sa injuries. So, malaking factor yung paggamit natin ng shoulder pads. But again, it's not made for everyone. But there are tons of options. Maraming options. Merong matataas na shoulder pads if you really need it. If you have very long necks, meron din namang mabababang shoulder pads if maiksi lang din naman yung neck mo. Sometimes, meron din yung mga nakaslouch yung shoulders, yung pababa yung shoulders nila. They also need shoulder pads. And there's a ton of options. I can't really explore them because I personally don't use shoulder pads. But you can search the internet, look at reviews kung anong shoulder pad yung babagay sa'yo. This one's a cheap one, I think. So, okay lang din naman kung yung mumurahing shoulder pad lang din, no? As long as it can help you. Now, if a shoulder pad doesn't help you out, no, pero nahihirapan ka pa rin talaga doon sa technique mo, you have to look at how your body kasi is made, no? Technically, kung ano yung magiging itsura mo. Kasi, doon mo makikita kung meron kang ibang problems aside from just the shoulder pad. Maybe your chin rest yung kailangan mong palitan. Kasi magkaiba din naman yung heights ng mga chin rest. Maybe you need a center mounted one kung hindi pa rin nakakatulong yung shoulder pad. No? So, there are a lot of ways to get around it. No? Pero, I think it's a very cheap upgrade to say the least, no? Yung paglalagay ng shoulder pad. No? Kasi hindi naman lahat ng instrument may kasama nito. So, I think you could get one for as cheap as 150 pesos or 200 pesos. Kung talagang nahihirapan ka na, hindi mo na alam kung paano ipipwesto yung kamay mo, lagi mong hinahawakan. So, yun, may mga pwedeng maging, kasi, side effect nung paghawak mo dito or your violin being on your chin, di ba? Yung paglagay natin dito. Kasi nga, we rely on lifting. As long as you're not lifting up your instrument, that is a good idea, no? So, shoulder pads could really help, no? So, yung mga nabanggit nga natin na cons, siguro, when you're a more advanced musician, parang training wheels, kumbaga, pwede naman talaga na wala. Kasi, it's a very late invention naman, no? Yung shoulder pads. They were created late na kasi gano'n na ba katanda yung mga instruments natin, di ba? So, hindi naman talaga siya need. But if you are struggling and to find a solution to some of your problems, di ba? Napakagandang option nun. It's a very cheap option for you, no? You can buy the cheapest one or the most expensive one, kung ano man yung features na meron siya na pwede mong gamitin. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is you feel comfortable with your instrument, you're able to do what you need to do, and be able to play properly without the need of other help, no? So, yun yung importante doon. With the help of a cheap upgrade, makakagamit ka na instrument mo much better. Now, and in the case na hindi mo na siya kailangan, pwede mo naman din tanggalin and then try it again. Kasi minsan, yung pag nasanay na tayo sa posture na ganun, pag tinanggal mo na siya, mas madali mo na siya magagawa kahit wala. No? So, yan. So, it's not, if you don't want it to be a permanent thing, pwede rin naman yun. But if you're really struggling, try it out. Yan. Sana nakatulong tong video na to. If it did, please do drop a like. Comment down below more content you'd like to see, and of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on all my socials. All the links you need down in the description box below. This has been Ryan Monakil for Violin Tips and Tricks, and I'll see you on the next video.